If I could stop loving you.
Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Music in the Minor League. This week, we're joined by Sean Burns. Sean Burns is the bass player of Corb Lund and the Hurtin Albertans. He's also the leader of Sean Burns and the Lost Country. He runs the Northern Report podcast, and he also used to be the host of Boots and Saddles Show, which was on CKUW 95.9 FM in Winnipeg. And as of that, he does live in Winnipeg, Manitoba, so this makes him our first international guest. We're getting fancy for y'all, just what we do. So we got to talk to him about music, finding bands, playing bass for people, leading a band, all the great stuff, man. It was really a great conversation. He reached out to us about being on the show, which is a good reminder that if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, just hit us up. Sean did it, man. Sean was a great guest, man. We really enjoyed it. Before we get to the interview, let's get the housekeeping out of the way. First things up, we have some shows coming up this month. We're going to be at Acadia Bar and Grill, which is out in the Cypress area of Houston, but northwest side. We don't ever really go up to the northwest side, so this will be our first time out there, I think, for Brightwire ever. So come out and hang with us if you're in the Cypress area. We'll be playing First Ward area. We'll be doing it on the 20th of January. It'll be a So Far Sound show. It'll be rad. Look it up on their website, links in our bio, all that. And then the 28th, we're going to be back up almost to the Cypress area. We'll be playing out at Theater Suburbia. That'll be a Sunday night thing on their back porch. It'll be a cool little open to everybody free gig. Just come hang out. It'll be a lot of fun. Then to go ahead and get y'all prepped, in March, we're going to be releasing our new album called Here But Gone. It's currently available for pre-sale, both CD, digital, and vinyl versions. The vinyl is going to be on Coke bottle clear vinyl, so if you're into the colored things, we'll do it. Dan Torres once again did our cover art, which was beautiful. We go to the website to check that out. So just to get y'all prepped, we're going to be doing a full band release show at the Old Quarter Acoustic Cafe in Galveston on March 9th. Our one and only full band show. First time we've done that. It's going to be great. Then on March 30th, we're going to be doing our hometown Houston release show at Black Magic Social Club with Grifters and Shills and Shame on Me. So that's going to be a great show. Hope y'all come out and support it. Tickets will be available online at the oldquarteracousticcafe.com. Black Magic Social Club will be at the door. It's also going to be Kim's birthday, her 50th birthday party. So come out and throw down with us, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, we're through all that, so now let's move on to the show. See y'all on the other side, man. Have a good one. This song is called Destroy Me, off of Sean Burns' new record called Lost Country. Hope you dig it. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Destroy me, you no good bottle of booze. Take a look at the life a woman may choose. Take so much woman's abuse. So I turned to my friend, Mr. Bottle of Booze. Well, once I had a future, things looked good for me. And then I met old swingin' Sally. She changed that all you see. Down, drag me to the ground. Now I'm a no good has-been and the talk of the town. Oh, destroy me, destroy me. What's the use? All living or dying to me was just an excuse. I've gone too far, now I can't refuse. So do your job, sir, Mr. Bottle of Booze. Well, once I had a future. Things look good for me. I met talk of the town. Well, I'm a no good has-been. I'm the talk of the town. Destroy me.
All right, man. Welcome to another episode of Music in the Minor League. Tonight we are here with Sean Burns, of Sean Burns and Lost Country, also of the Northern Report podcast, former host of Boots and Saddle on the radio, and also bass player for Corb Lund and the Hurtin Albertans. Oh yeah,
that's
Albertans.
right.
I don't know
Such a great name.
My mind went to like overseas, and I'm like, wait, no, that's Alberta. Yeah, Canada.
It's Alberta. It's funny. They got all of them used to live out there. Now just Corb, and the rest of us live everywhere else.
That's cool. You're our first international act.
International.
Like, right, I know. It's like it's Canada, which is like right across the street.
We're big time, Mom. We made it.
Right, I know. This is a big moment for us hayseeds down in Texas. Like, man.
Yeah, we're a long way. We're a long way from each other here. Eh?
About as far as you can get from like Texas, from the U.S. to Canada. Yeah.
But by the power of
It's like
technology.
24 hours straight shot south to Austin from here.
Wow. A day of driving.
Yeah.
You can tell touring musicians, like, I know exactly how far that is.
24 hours.
So just FYI, anybody who's listening to this outside of the Texas area, you can drive for 12 hours of those hours and still actually be in Texas.
Not of those hours, but yeah.
That's like 6 movies in distance.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure up in Canada, it's very similar, like between cities. Like, it's a good distance between everything.
Oh, yeah. Touring up here is not easy. You're like 4 to 6 to 8 hours to the next place that's worth playing usually. You know, that's the beautiful part about Texas and the United States is you got decent sized markets every few hours.
True.
I guess Austin's close, like 3.5, 4 hours, 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah.
San Antonio 4, Dallas 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know.
El Paso 10.
Anything outside of Texas, like forever, like first.
What's
6
New
hours.
Orleans? Like 5 hours?
Yeah, like right at 5.
I think now.
Yeah.
I think it's like 6. That was 6. Either way,
I feel like we could do it in 5.
Well, yeah. Speed limits are
Nothing.
for pussies.
Okay.
They can't pull you
That's very
over on the
Texas.
causeway.
Texas drivers.
Hell yeah.
There's no place for
Very
cops to stop over the swamp or the bayous.
Speed limit, you mean a suggestion.
Suggested limit, yeah.
So that's the important part, man. As long as you can, when there's not going to be anybody, man, just hammer down and go.
Right?
And I'm sure up there when you get out in the rural areas, it's like, yeah, just go.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, the western U.S. is everything's far away. But you know what? We didn't come here to talk about road maps and how far away.
Geography.
No.
This isn't a music podcast.
People are,
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of a byproduct of talking to musicians who tour, though. We talk
Yes.
about the road.
True.
Yeah.
So, to get to it, man, like I'm going to put this out there first. Sean is a person who reached out to us. So, we like to put that out there that if you would like to be a guest on the show, please reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. 2, I'm kind of nervous, man. Sean is, like I said, the host of the Northern Report podcast. Like, he actually is a podcaster too. So, he knows how bad we're doing at all times. Especially coming from radio too. It's like, oh no.
He's counted 32 ums already.
I tightened up my radio during the pandemic. It was all I had to do. Like,
Yeah.
I always feel this urge to do something, and we weren't working, so I sunk so much time into that show that I got a tight 2 hours.
Nice.
Nice.
Hell
Every
yeah.
Jealous.
No, but it's cool because I'm guessing it's always still a good way. And like even with this, we're getting exposed to a lot of bands and things that we wouldn't normally know about. I mean, these days, most of the playlists and stuff I listen to are bands that either people told me about here or, people we found and talked to. So it's kind of cool to be like, oh man, it's like really great stuff to listen to. So I imagine doing a radio show and doing what you're doing with the podcast, same deal. It's like finding all this cool shit that's happening out there.
Oh yeah. It's the digging around is this huge part of it. And the podcast started like as me trying to find folks from like the 60s and 70s that were just regional, just people like us that are just playing small rooms, but they had great records. Just trying to find all these fellas, and I've caught up with a good handful of them. Most of them in their 70s and 80s, and most of them remembered a lot of stuff, which was really great. So, released an episode earlier today. So I mean, that's what it's
amazing.
been all about. Thanks. Yeah, it all sort of all run together. Like, start playing these things on the radio because I didn't really find any. I was telling this the other day. We got these like weird Canadian content laws with all of our media. It's like 35% of everything's got to be, born and bred in Canada. So,
Really?
Okay.
yeah. So as like a function of that is you get a lot of the same bands on the radio all the time, or it's just tough. There's not a lot of country music, the kind of country music that I like, that I could find to play on the radio. So I was playing all this old stuff, regional stuff from all over Canada, 60s, 70s. And then I just wanted to talk to these people. And then I found a bunch of them. I talked to a bunch of them. And then I made a record of those kinds of songs, like real deep local legends, regional stars from the 60s to the 90s. That's the record Lost Country that just came out in October. So it was all doing the radio that is responsible for this conversation.
That's amazing.
That's really cool.
In an era where, it seems like radio is not as big as it used to be, that's what set you on the path. That's great.
It's true. It's not. But I was on campus community radio. We have 2 universities here in Winnipeg. I was at the smaller one downtown. I was on Tuesday morning from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It was like the highly coveted 11 a.m. Tuesday campus radio.
Watch
and
out,
I made
people.
the most of it. Before we had our daughter, I was out every night. I was gigging. I was working at the venue in town, like the main venue we play at, small 150 person room, whatever, doing the door, doing the sound, and so I was just out and about all the time. So I could kind of hype the show. And then I got a little audience in town, and then got an audience in the United States in certain pockets, and hooked up with other DJs, sort of like-minded guys, Jimmy in New Orleans, and Don Stixel, who just moved to Austin from Los Angeles, and a bunch of Canadian guys. But we all this little pack of weirdos that are trying to have the hippest country music radio show on the,
I love it.
campus stations, and find the deep cuts. And that's how I got hip to so many of these folks. Like we were talking about Gus Clark earlier. I played Gus on my show a ton of times, and Summer Dean and Justin Trevino and Jake Hooker and all these Texas acts that maybe don't get a lot of play outside of the state.
Yeah, man.
awesome.
Like, say, have y'all ever been? We've talked to the Broken Spokes, man. There's a great local country band that just.
Yeah, I played them.
Yeah, see, Brent's killer, man. There's actually a pretty, like I said, we were talking about before we got on, the people around the Continental and stuff have really been doing a lot of work, keep that going.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in college, I listened to a lot of heavy, punk music stuff, but I still was always at the Satellite Lounge. We had this band, the Hollisters, that were just an amazing country band that if you've never heard, highly recommend, which Mike Barfield, their singer, acoustic player, still around Austin, but man, the Hollisters were the band for a long time in Texas. And then
You guys are so spoiled down there. It's such great infrastructure and culture around live music, and it seems like people are gigging 3, 4, 5, 6 nights a week if they want. I was we were in Austin for a couple days in November. I was talking to some friends, and it was you can just live here and gig all the time if that's what you want to do.
Oh, yeah, 100%, man.
We can't do that really anywhere in Canada. Not and anywhere you can. It's you're living in a really expensive city, so it's really tough. So yeah, I'm very envious of all that down there. It's always nice to come and play there. Texas is one of my favorites.
It's nice to hear nice stuff about Texas from outsiders. Because we're stuck in this place sometimes, and we get a lot of the negativity. So it's nice to hear someone be like, "No, dude, Texas kicks ass for that. Not everything, but the music part of it, yeah, we do." And
Totally.
I think we get a little complacent with it because it's it's not normal for you to be able to go and play the Continental and have a great crowd and everything's wonderful, and people are like, "No, that's not normal, actually."
yeah, it's a hustle. It's a hustle to get people out during the week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I would guess like now as it gets colder up there, no one's going anywhere, right?
It's so cold. I wish I could explain it to you. It just got really cold today.
What is really cold?
So we are you familiar? Can I talk in the Celsius terms here? Or?
Whoa.
yeah, we're our banks normally will have Fahrenheit and Celsius so that we get to try to
right.
make Americans learn it, just
and we're still not learning.
We're not there.
Okay, so what's freezing? 32?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
Okay, so way colder than that. Way colder than that. And where I live, I'm 90 minutes from North Dakota, 3 hours from Fargo.
Okay.
So, and I think it's minus 40 where they meet, where the Fahrenheit and Celsius meet.
Okay.
And in Winnipeg here, we've got 4 to 6 weeks consecutive of about that every day.
Oh my God.
It's
Right.
it's punishing.
Okay.
Punishing. When you wake up in the morning, if it's like today was a beautiful sunny day and it's like, oh shit, it's going to be so cold. Just a little bit of wind will kick your ass. When it's like gray or snowing, you're like, oh, okay, it's warm enough to snow. Here we go. So, in Winnipeg where I live is like a very kind of rich culture with all art and music especially. There's a lot of great musicians here, great guitar players, great songwriters, really supportive community. So the winter, it's like we don't really complain. You just dress and you go out and you're playing, or you're jamming, you're playing music or you're playing hockey. And so there's a lot of hockey players from here. There's a lot of musicians from here. So there for a long time was a lot of places to play here in Winnipeg and different scenes. And it's a big enough city that, you can sustain some different scenes and different kinds of rooms. So, wintertime people go out. It's the summer that's kind of tough.
Really?
Yeah, because everyone's really taking advantage of our 3 or 4 months of nice weather, and they just leave town. A lot of lakes and cabins and cottages and stuff like that. So people leave town unless you're playing like an Austin-style beer garden where people are just there because they're there.
Right.
There's those gigs which are cool, profitable. People are there, but they're there because it's outside and they can be outside finally.
Right,
so,
they're soaking up some vitamin sunlight.
It's the opposite
Totally.
of us, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we had this summer where it was like with the heat index was like in the 110s every day for like 3 months straight. So everyone
that's
was just
horrible.
It was like all these outdoor restaurants and venues, like no one's going to them. It's like, well, of course not. We're like getting sick from sitting outside, just sitting still.
We drove from Austin to Tulsa like last June, and it was obscene, and half of the air conditioning on the one half of our van doesn't work.
Oh no!
And it was miserable. We were all irritable that day. A bunch of 40-year-old guys sweating in a van. No conversation. Having to drive through Dallas again, which is a nightmare.
Yes.
And loading in the back of the Mercury Lounge in Tulsa, and it's a tiny little stage. We got too much gear. Everyone's on edge, and then the show's great. That's
it's Mercury Lounge. I mean,
Mercury-
that's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
our room here in Winnipeg, the Times Change Time Lonesome Club, is like as close to the Mercury as you're going to get in Canada. So we're very lucky to have that room.
Wow.
So when I first got to the Mercury, I was like, holy shit, like I'm home.
Right.
I don't drink anymore, but if I did, I'd be in big trouble.
Right.
Great spot.
Yeah, and the funny part about being in Oklahoma is like you're like, well, we're getting out of Texas, so it'll be cooler up in no, it's hotter in Oklahoma. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's like this whole South, man. You hit St. Louis and it's like, cool, man, we're getting further. And it's like the Mississippi's right there, so it's humid and hot and oppressive.
Yes.
Memphis, like all of them. It's like everything's on the river, so it's hot and sweaty. But yeah, so we can relate to that. We can relate to Canada because it's like it's just
Extremes.
it's just the mirror opposite. Like we tried to do an outside festival here. What was it? Mid-June, late June?
Yeah, late June.
Oh
We
God,
almost died.
we almost died. Like literally drank like 18 bottles of water and a couple bottles of body armor and stuff. And I think I peed once all day.
Yeah, it's not. That's like dangerous.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was real dangerous.
Troy realized once you broke your 40s, this is not something like, oh, but we fine. I was like, I'm not fine. Like the whole next day.
Yeah.
But
I have to say though, that cold sounds punishing. The older I get,
It is.
I'm like,
It's real tough. Yeah.
I don't know if I could do cold.
But it made it a lot
I
better to go out into bars late at night in the evening when it was like, air conditioned inside.
Yeah, well, that's the Texas thing, right? Is like everything air conditioning is just pinned everywhere you go.
Oh, yeah.
So you're outside, it's like fine. You go in, you're freezing. It's
Yes.
like then you get a cold. Come on.
Wait,
We're just Texas is just trying to kill you.
There's a correlation between that and net.
No.
Nah,
I'm no health expert.
Right. I'm not a doctor.
I mean, I've had plenty of jobs where you had a sweater in there during the summer because it was always like air conditioner on 100. And then during the winter, it's just like, yeah, everything's off. Nothing runs. It's just hot.
Damn.
Well, enough about the weather.
But I mean, this is stuff that, this is fun.
It's true. You do have to deal with
This
that
is
as a touring
meaty
musician.
context. This is meaty context for the people.
For all the people in the South, it's like, wow, -40. Like, our, again, like we talked about last episode with our friend in Colorado, it's like Texas fell apart at like, 17 degrees?
Yeah, dude. The
Actually,
wheels.
I think it got down to 8 at one point.
Yeah, there were certain parts that
Fahrenheit, which is, a little bit above zero. So probably that's a little bit below. It's probably negative Celsius, like -6 or 7 maybe.
Yeah.
So I think it was like 2 something. I can't remember the
Anyway,
exact
math,
multiplier.
moving
But
on.
point being, it actually got cold here and it destroyed our whole entire state and killed
Oh
us.
yeah, you just not ready for it.
we are not built for it.
So, people down here are like,
Jealous.
wow, that dude people live in it.
Yeah, I can't imagine intentionally living there.
Yeah, it's cheap to live here. I got a mortgage and I play the bass for a living.
Right, that tells you a lot right there.
Yeah.
That's a good segue because, of course, I guess we can say like, I played bass for a while, but, you made a hell of an album as a guitarist and singer.
Thank you.
Despite being a bass player, like you did it.
I was a bass player originally. Like, first started playing, I was 13 or 14. And I was very, very dedicated playing bass. I always played bass because I loved it and I wanted to get good at it. And then, picked up the guitar a few years later because I wanted to sing songs at parties and talk girls.
Right.
And then I was just gigging, playing all the time, gigging, coming out playing bass. And I was 25 when I started playing guitar, playing solo mostly. And I did that for over 10 years. I was me playing guitar. I'd still play bass here and there to remain employed when I could if I needed to.
Right.
Had a few gigs where I was the bass player for a year, 2 or 3 at a time. And then when Corb Lund needed a bass player, it was that's a really great gig. He's a great writer. He's got real strong fan base in Canada and the Western U.S. and parts of the Eastern U.S. and Europe. And it's a demanding schedule, but it's a great gig. So auditioned for that and got the job. And then I was okay, I'm a bass player again. Then I had gone through every bass player here in Winnipeg in my band because I didn't want to do it. And then finally I was we had some time off with Corb and I was I need to stay on top of these chops because electric bass is the first thing I was playing, but I'm playing a lot of upright with Corb and so I started playing upright in my band, and then we just kept scaling down from 5 to 4 to 3, and we operate as a trio for the most part here now in Winnipeg, and I just play the upright and keep the chops up as best as I can. But I'm telling you, the mental stress of singing 40 songs in a night and playing that upright bass is I'm exhausted mentally at the end of the show in a way that I never used to be playing guitar. And I think maybe I just got a little lazy playing guitar. You can stop playing, you can use it as a prop or whatever.
True, yeah.
Shoot at people and there's a lot of visual shit. But no, I'm just playing bass now, and it feels right. And the people that are closest to me were always you should just be playing bass in your band. And I was always had a real soft spot for a singing bass player. So when I first started playing, my dad was you better be able to sing just a little bit because there's nothing worse than a bass player who doesn't sing.
I 100% confirm that. That's yes.
Just even a little.
Even just harmonies. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
So years of singing lead was that's what got me the job with Corb. I wasn't the best bass player at that audition, but I did the most homework and I sang a ton.
Yeah.
He and I blend really well together. It's super easy and work parts out and stuff like that. So just the confidence of singing, in my own band for 15 years or whatever was, the catalyst for me to secure the position in the Hurtin Albertans.
Why do you
Such
have
a
to,
great name every time you say it.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I did a little research. I did look at your honky tonkumentary film, and you are exuberant on stage.
Yeah, especially when I was playing guitar. It was a lot easier. Yeah, I didn't feel so grounded with that bass. But yeah, I've sort of always fancied myself as a performer first and foremost. And how many of the people that are going to come to my show on Thursday got to wake up on Friday and go to a job that they don't particularly like. So I always felt I was always comfortable, confident on stage. It was lean into that. And I worked with an artist who was from a theater background. She taught me a lot about how to stand, how to project, how to own the space,
Yes.
And shoulders spread, here we go, and I took a lot of that. And when the band is good, I'm so lucky. I truly got some of the best players in Western Canada with me. So it's easy to be inspired.
Dude, that's awesome. You got to surround yourself with the people who bring out the best in you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine what I never really thought about playing a rhythm instrument and trying to sing a melody at the same time.
Yeah,
that must be tough.
That was the hardest thing about bass because you're holding the rhythm, but you're also singing basically against it. So it's you're doing two different things. Yeah,
and with Corb, I play harmonica too with that upright bass, which is another thing that helped secure the gig. It was play harmonica on a handful of tunes, and that's a great visual too, right?
Oh yeah,
a big guy with a big bass, and he's playing harmonica. It's what the hell? So yeah, but yeah, no. If we're playing a shuffle, if I'm walking or whatever, I don't even really think about what I'm doing on the bass. I can just sing, and I'm lucky. The drummer, Joanna Miller is my drummer here in Winnipeg, and she's the greatest, and so I don't have to really think about much. Am I rushing? Am I dragging? She'll dictate all of that. Just sing the song.
That's awesome.
So see, kids, keep practicing. Learn a harmonica.
Do hours.
Yeah, just make it happen, kids.
You need hours, and I had people that were very hard on me too when I was young, and that was really, when I first wanted to play harmonica and bass, it was I can't do this. The right hand, and then singing, and then my brain, and then the harmonica pattern. And I had a friend who was a drummer with me for a long time named Tim, and he was well, you just got to do it. Just keep doing it. Keep practicing. You have to do it. There's no way that you're not doing that. I was
you just get used to it.
you just get used to it. And then if you're on the road or whatever, you're playing all the time, ideally. So we played a ton when I first started touring, and usually to no one, but we played almost every night. And then it just becomes part of the thing, little party trick.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. The more you do it, but we've been fortunate recently. We've had a bunch of bass players that have been singers too.
Yeah,
shout out to our friend Mel Gutierrez from Shame on Me, who's this upright bass player singer, and she's a hell of a singer. She was a singer for years, and then was like, our band needs a bass player, and her husband, who's their guitar player, was like, and here's a bass, learn it, start playing.
There you go. Yeah,
so I started learning upright bass, and now
Isn't Arda
I resisted it for so long, but it's like now we're a trio. It's so much easier to travel, and I can pay everyone better.
Well, yeah, you got a fourth member with that damn bass. I mean, come on now. I think we had that discussion with Mel.
Yeah, about the upright bass. It's like, oh man, it looks great. It's all that, but we've been having arguments internally about a drummer versus upright bass, and I'm like, you break a drum set down. Yeah, it's a lot of shit, but you take up a smaller footprint. That upright bass, is a quarter of the van.
Well, and also upright bass is going to give any sound guy a headache just because
it's often tough. Yeah, it's often a struggle.
But every time you see it, it's like, damn, it's cool, man.
So cool.
Well, and they just
you can't you can't overlook the visual aspect of the whole operation, and that is important too. Unless you're shitty, then it's like, well, it's but if you're halfway decent and you can hold it down, and people go, whoa, what's that cello?
Right. Oh, didn't know the orchestra was in town, or should I say, dorchestra?
Yeah, no musician. I'm a bass player.
Right.
Oh, my son did upright bass in an orchestra for years, so I had to drag that damn thing all over the place. And
I got to fly all the time, I got a Chadwick, those Chadwick upright basses, the neck folds down into the back.
Yeah.
The guy doesn't make them anymore. They're really, really hard to track down, and the local sort of best bass player here in town, he had one, and he let me borrow it for a year, and then finally I just kept leaning on him. I'm like, I'm really bonded with your bass, and I've been flying with it all year, all the time. You got to sell it to me. He finally just paid him off the other day. But that thing is invaluable because we fly so much with Corb, and he wants us to have everything. A guitar player, he's got a couple tellies and a mandolin and a banjo and a lap steel and a baritone, and it's bring it all. You might not play it that night if it's one set. We just did a 35-minute set with Ryan Bingham in Vegas a couple weeks ago. It was okay, boys, bring all the shit. I don't know what we're gonna play, because we never have a set list with him either. It's just he just reads the room.
Where did you play the show with Ryan Bingham at?
Early December, this first week of December at the Virgin Theater in Vegas. We did it last year too with the Ryan Bingham and the Texas Gentlemen.
My buddy was at that show.
Oh no shit!
Yes, dude.
Yeah, man, that was a great show. That's a proper room, and those guys are they sell it out, and it was great for us. It was tight 35-minute set, and 3,500 people, and Bingham and those Texas Gentlemen are just badass dudes. They're all super cool, real hospitable, nice guys to us as the openers.
Yeah, my buddy caught that set, and then Bingham did a private after party show kind of thing on this little bitty tiny stage, and my buddy was at that. So I was like, wow, what a small world. Look at that. Did we just become best friends?
It's insane, the amount of Texans and Rio Western and cowboy people that are there for this rodeo, and all the bands. In that Virgin was the good room. A couple days after us was Charlie Crockett and Vincent Neil Emerson, and they got great shows. And then all of them are there. We were there for 3 or 4 days, but Corb was there for 2 weeks, schmoozing and playing solo and playing weird private parties on balconies and suites and hotels, and all the rodeo buyers are there. And it's madness. It's madness.
So what I'm hearing is you guys are going to end up playing at Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, the largest rodeo in the world.
That's always the dream, right? Is to do the big ones down there.
Come on, bring it on, bring it down here.
We've done some good ones, and we do some big ones here in Canada, of course, but it's just kind of starting for us down there with some of these bigger rodeos.
That's good, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, his material is so suited to that, and he grew up on a ranch. His dad was a vet, big farm animal vet, and they hosted rodeos and competed all over his family, and his aunt and his dad and his mom, and so he comes from that world, and he really knows what he's talking about. So there's a ton of songs that I have to sing harmonies on. I don't know what any of this stuff means. Like, hey, Sean, you know what this means? Like, no, like I have no clue. But hey, I'm learning about it.
Well, that's cool, man. It's good that you guys are getting in front of groups with more young kids. They're getting, because if you look at like what a lot of them are probably hearing as country at this point, it's nice that they're getting something a little more true roots and rooted in country, like what it started out to be.
Like really traditional.
Yeah. Very Western, a lot of agricultural content. And that's what, and for me, for my own thing, it's like my real love is like Ernest Hub, barroom, honky-tonk country music.
Yeah.
Come and drink and dance and forget about everything and then go home,
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing too. I don't need people to be quiet and listen. The Texas listening room, we do a lot of that. Everyone's so quiet. Sometimes I'm like, this is weird.
Can you guys clink a beer or something, please?
Yeah. Like, it's cool though. It's cool. It's a real interesting, cool part of the culture of the live music down there. But sometimes I just want like the sagebrush or something where all the gear is shitty and sound sucks and it's great. It's just beautiful,
Yeah, people staring you down in a listening room can be intimidating.
It's pretty cool. We do a couple nights usually at Main Street Crossing in Tomball there.
Oh yeah, it's a great place. Yeah.
And man, last time we played there, we got on stage, introduced us. We get on stage. Corb doesn't say a word. Plays 3 songs, all in the same key, all basically the same tempo, pretty slow, and like just one after the other. This tension just builds, and it's like this. I'm just started laughing. The third song, he started playing like, can't believe we're doing this. Like 3 in a row in D, and then after the third one, he's like, hey, how you doing, Tom Ball? And then we play Hurtin Albertans, the song, and then it's like game on. Then they're loosened up. But we've created this. He's great at creating this tension and then smashing the glass, and then people are still listening, but they're also like, okay, we can have a good time here.
Nice.
It's kind of, most people just want that little bit of, permission to do stuff. Because I think we played like the old quarter with Rock Bottom String Band, or friends of ours, and they were kind of like that. Like, we know it's going to break the rules, but let's get a little rowdy on this one. Like, we want y'all to make some noise on this one. And then it kind of light moves like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, we can have a little bit of fun with it.
Like, we're still trying to sell beer, right? Like, that's what's going on. It's like, yeah, you're there to entertain, but like, you're there to sell drinks too, right? So, you got to be able to stretch the limits a bit, I think. Unless it's, a solo act who's captivating enough to keep everyone quiet, and that's great too.
It's just always a fine line. Like, it's either, are you listening? Are you being like making noise, having fun? Or are you making noise being the jackass that's just like, anyway, that's what Corey works in. You're like, no.
Yeah, I've been at a show where that actually happened. We were at a show at a small venue in Houston, listened to Jan Tiersen, and he did all the Chocolat and Amelie soundtracks and stuff, so he plays a lot of violin. And has this weird little orchestra that comes in, and there was this typical Houston guy trying to hit on a girl in the crowd, and he's doing it just obnoxiously, And finally, Jan just stopped the show and like, hey man, she's not gonna go home with you. Can you shut up? And the dude just kind of, and slunk back into the dark and stuff, and we're all just laughing, And it's like, there's a time and a place, man. Like, you gotta read the room,
Yeah, totally.
We played at one of our local places on Saturday night, Ronnie's, and it's a biker bar. You know what I mean? And so you go in there, and you're expecting, oh great, it's gonna be like, the Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, and there's gonna be, fence in front, like the chicken wire in front of the stage and shit. And you get in there, and you're like, it's gonna be loud. But no, we're acoustic trio, and we play, and the place gets quiet, and they're just like, they're listening, and you're like, whoa, this is a dirty biker bar.
Oh man, yeah. First time we played there, I was telling a story, like we played I think for a friend of ours, like a benefit. It was back when it was just me and Kim, so like 2 vocals acoustic. I mean, there's like dudes in Bandito cuts. There's what's the one with the house?
Oh, Gypsies.
Yeah, the Gypsies and stuff. And like we get done playing, I'm like, all right, we didn't get called pussies. We didn't get, no one threatened to fight us. And I walk off, and one of the dudes, straight up, like, president of the MC, like, man, the way she hit that third on that song, like, that last song, dude, I'm like, I don't even know what harmony she's hitting. And this dude's like, that was nice. Like, I like that. Yeah. She did perfect. And I'm like,
you never know who's there.
Exactly.
Right? You never know who's there or what the people that are there can hear or understand about the music. And it took me way too long to realize that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was just like, this dude knows what's up.
Yeah. Texas, man.
We're giving people a little escape. That's what we do.
That's
right, exactly.
A bunch of bad jokes.
Yeah,
a ton of bad jokes.
Awkward banter.
Oh man, yeah. We're bad at that.
That's my specialty. It's like,
and we're really good at it.
What terrible shit am I going to say on stage tonight? Like, how low can we go with this?
Well, I'm sure the shot collar story is going to make it in there.
Probably.
Yeah.
You're going to have to explain it now because you can't say the shot collar story.
I don't want people sitting at home like, does this dude...
My loving husband decided to shock me with a dog collar the other night. Just,
on the gig.
Before you put... No, not at the gig, but just before
Okay.
before I was willing to put it on the dog, I had to do it myself a few times, see,
Check, yeah.
what's a good level. And then, she was like, let me see it, because she was very much against this. And
Very.
before we go on, it also beeps and vibrates. We have not had to use anything outside
We've not shocked our dog at
of
all.
the highest vibrate. But Kim grabbed it, and I was like, see, it's not that bad, click.
Not cool, man.
But so that was awkward that we each brought our marital issues into.
You know that I can strap that on you while you're asleep, right? Like,
That would be great.
That's what I'm saying. This is just getting more and more not okay.
that's true. Okay. Non-consensual shocking is not okay. We're going to stop talking about this.
Anything strap-on related to someone's sleep is bad.
No, I just meant your arm or your, gosh, your
See, this is our stage banter. You're seeing
Yeah, this is exactly how it's
I
like.
like it. I like it.
Okay.
no non-consensual nocturnal strap-on action.
Oh my gosh.
So we just avoid that.
That's a hard line.
Right.
there.
I don't feel like it's that much to ask. All right, man. So circle back. So you did do the record, Lost Country. So I didn't realize that going in. So these were all like old Canadian acts.
Yeah, like a lot of them 60s, maybe early 70s, and a couple of them had some national recognition, and then one of them, a guy named Dick Dameron, like Charlie Pride did some Dick Dameron songs, and George Hamilton IV, and Dick would like play in Vegas, and he would play in Texas, and he had some love outside of Canada, but not like hugely. And then most of the rest of them were like people like me who just sell like 100 tickets or 150 tickets on a good night and play, just played in the bars and toured hard. But there was a lot more infrastructure for live music in the 60s into the 90s here in Canada. The bands were playing 6 nights a week in the bars. So there's a ton of work. And if you were, mediumly good, after 6 or 8 months on the road of 6 nights a week, you got pretty good.
Yeah.
And there was little labels that, music business scum found a way to turn a profit off of the local singers, and they're all still there, man. And, I go to discogs.com all the time. I was going there when I was hosting the radio to do research, and then I just got sucked in, and I got all these records, spent hundreds of dollars on these records from the 60s and 70s from these people that were just like, local acts, but some great stuff, really, really, really great music. And so I wanted to do something like that. And just like, I'm a big proponent of the theme record as a country music artist in your catalog. All my heroes got all the themes, like, Porter Wagner's the king of the themes. Merle Haggard, you got like, most of them have a Hank Williams record. There's a gospel record. There's a prison record. There's a drinking record. So, we've got a trucking album. We've got a Bakersfield record. And then now we've got our, niche regional Canadian honky tonk stuff. And, I hired almost exclusively musicians that were on the road in the 70s and 80s that played with some of these guys.
Oh, wow.
And, so it was like really brought it some legitimacy, and we were recording a couple times, the steel player, he's the star of the show. He would stop us and he'd say, do you know how the bands on Queen Street in Toronto would have played a song like this in 1977? And we're like, no, like, please show us. And then so, we inserted all these little barroom tricks that the bands of that era would play. So yeah, it was like, a serious passion project for me, and it was great to hang out with all these guys that I'd only heard about for so long.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great sounding record too, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
Like, I was listening to it. I didn't know that part of it. So I was just like, man, these are like some damn good songs. Like,
get some good stuff in there. We recorded it in Toronto, Ontario, at a place called Union Sound Company with a guy named Chris Stringer. And Stringer is like, he does a lot of like contemporary sort of, hip stuff. But he loves country music, and he has all this old vintage gear. So we didn't bring anything. I went with Grant Siemens, a guitar player. He plays with Corb as well. So we flew out there. We didn't bring anything. He had this Gibson acoustic guitar from the 40s with strings from the 40s, probably. He said, you're going to play this? Grant was playing through old amps and old guitars, and then the old boys brought all their stuff. The guy had one of those like Christmas tree light Showbud steel amps from the 70s.
Yes, dude.
Oh, man. That's the ticket, right? So we had it, we did it the best we could, and then took those mixes and ran it through some 60-year-old tape machine that was probably used on some of the sessions that, of these regional labels in Toronto in the 60s. And, kind of like warms it up and blues a little bit of the bottom end on, I love those old 60s records where like sometimes you can't really, like the bass doesn't have a lot of boom to it and the drums are like buried in the mix, they're there, but like I kind of like that. Like I really do like that, Nothing bothers me more than wheeling up to like a festival or an outdoor gig where they like got like the heavy metal kick drum, that real like clicky clacky boom, boom, boom.
Yes.
It's like, well, they're a country band, man. Like, come on, So
Finesse
that's
it a little bit,
kind of
please.
trying to do it like that. And I think it turned out great. We were super happy. It's done better for me than anything I've ever done. But I had a lot of time in the rollout to lead up of the release. So took advantage of that time, and it's served me pretty well so far.
Oh yeah.
No kidding. I mean, like I said, it sounds great. It's cool to hear that, playing with all those guys who used to do it in the day, you picked up some new tricks for your playing yourself.
Oh, yeah, a little shit. And then, it's like no different than like the Texas bands. The guy was like, oh, this band would, on the tag, it'd be like a ba-da-ba-ba. It's like so Texas honky tonk band, like Summer Dean's band. I watched them do that a few times at some festival this summer. I was like, man, that is a good ass band. And they've got it going on. All the little shots, all the little pushes, very subtle, but super effective, and you don't have to be a shit hot player to pull that off. You just got to be listening and present.
Yeah, her guitar player, Kevin, he's from this area.
Yeah,
he's sick at everything.
Yeah, that guy is a killer. I just bought some shit off of that guy. Where is it? Those stickers, those Ray Price stickers. Every day I'm shuffling.
Yes.
You seen those?
Yes.
I saw those, and I was like, Kevin, you got to send me I need 5, at least 5 of them.
Yeah,
and I came home from the road, and they were all here.
That dude is just like, not only is he like an amazing musician, but he's also like mechanical minded. He services all, like everyone's pedal steel. He's serviced them. It's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, and he has a studio too, man. Like records stuff. Like
Wolf Island.
Yeah. I mean, that's isn't that where the Broken Spokes recorded theirs? With him, yeah. Mm-hmm. He's their pedal steel player most of the time.
When he's out on tour.
Plays great guitar too.
That's why.
Well, he builds B-bender guitars.
Yeah.
You're like, what the hell, dude? How do you do it?
You got to diversify. If you don't want to get a real job, you got to find other ways. I was thinking about this today. I was like, I got to find some other ways to make some money that isn't like scumbag music business stuff.
Right. Well, he's also now making custom pickups.
Oh, damn, really?
Yeah, Tone Star, I think is what they're called, man. And everyone's
That's really
like,
cool.
Dude, these are killer.
Yeah, shit, I didn't even know that.
Nice.
Yeah. Like, what are we doing with our time?
Sam's just like, damn it, I just bought a new pickup.
But I can always. I was like, I could have got one made local. I know.
Thanks, Amazon.
I get Sweetwater to get free candy.
I just do it for the candy.
Yeah, Sweetwater with the hard candy.
Oh man, it's like
and
going
then
to grandma's.
Did they call you too? Like,
Yes.
"Hey, this is Zach." I'm like, Zach, I don't know you, man. Like, I appreciate you doing your job, but like, I'll call you when I need some shit.
They are super familiar, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They like call you and they like text you and then they email you. You're like, man, you're like all fronts. You got it covered there, Zach.
Yeah, I'm just like ghosting the guy at Sweetwater. It's
I feel kind of like an asshole.
Yeah, we were there actually last month. We had a day off and went to Fort Wayne because a friend of ours from Winnipeg works at the studio there.
Oh,
he
wow.
moved to Fort Wayne to work at the Sweetwater studio. He's a badass guy named Sean Deely. And he was like a front of house for the Counting Crows for like 10 years. And then he got this sweet gig at Sweetwater. So we went there and we all had to buy shit. We were it's a compound. It is massive. We bought a bunch of stuff.
So when you buy stuff directly from the factory, do you still get the candy?
Yeah, you do. They throw the candy in your bag.
What the hell? That's customer service I can support.
Yeah, we got bags of candy in the van.
Wow.
So only order like one thing at a time for whatever.
Just get a cable. Yeah.
Yeah, just so I get the candy.
Listen up, marketers. Boys are easily impressed by candy.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at us. It's like, yes.
Yeah, there's not a candy I don't like.
Fuck's getting candy. Of course he is. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
God.
But that's super cool. Like, I am the king of like their previously played.
You are.
And I got a call from my guy from there because he was making sure I really wanted like hi-hat parts. Like, you just bought all this guitar stuff. Do you really want a hi-hat stand was on purpose? Like, yeah, man. Like, I play drums too. Oh, cool, man. Then it's like trying to talk to me about that. And it was like, cool, dude. Thanks.
Yeah.
I gotta go, man. I got stuff to do.
A friend used me as a reference, so that's why I answered this. I really didn't want to talk.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I'm in Fort Wayne. We'll go for a drink.
I will hang out.
Yeah.
That would be really cool, actually. Like to show up at there, be like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm looking for Sean.
Yeah.
He's in the back.
That might be crossing the line a little bit.
Why? They call
Yeah.
me.
I know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Like, just networking, bro. You got to take your clients out, right? That's how that works. I mean, I know we're just broke ass musicians, but I want to be wined and dined.
Yeah.
Josh, that's my guy.
I mean,
Josh.
musician's friend is just up the road.
Oh, my
okay.
guy's-
Yeah.
see, my guy's name is Alex. We're married. We're in the same household, and we have 2 different reps.
I just want to know if they're real. Like, is it just one dude and he just calls?
Probably.
Okay.
One dude who calls
At
everybody.
Sweetwater, there's this huge board. It's digital board, and it's got the faces of every employee and their name. I couldn't find my guy because we were in a rush. But legit, it's like this big, huge digital board. It's like every person that works there. I was like,
Wow.
Where's
So
Zach? I got to see this.
So it's real.
It's real, man. It's real.
See, that's good insider information because there are times where I'm like, these people, they just make people like up and they're calling me. It's like, hi, I'm.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, right? It's like, and it is, they have helped, like it is really a good quality situation.
Their display model stuff is what always gets me. It's like, oh man, look at this, they got one on display. It's $150 off. 4 years, no interest.
Can't not buy it. It's cheaper not.
It's basically free.
Yes, that's what Sam always says.
I can always resell it. Yeah.
I haven't resold it. I tell my wife that all the time. I can get money out of it. She's like, you've got no money out of any of them. I love
my wife just laughs at me. She's like, oh, look at you. You're a gear guy now. You're just buying all this gear. Look at, and making fun of me because I was always like the leanest amount of stuff that I could operate with. Yeah. And then I got the gig here and I was like, well, I need this, I need that. And then we fly so much. And maybe I should get 2 of these and call up Zach at Sweetwater. I need a second DI. I need a, and
yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in it now.
If we don't get a Sweetwater endorsement out of this episode, I'm going to be really pissed.
Yeah. Sweetwater and some prosthetics.
Yeah.
Shout out to Zach.
All I need is just calls on the first option on the open box display stuff. Just
right.
That would be this great. Display thing, like, oh yeah.
Right.
I'll take
just
those.
Unboxing Sweetwater shit. That's your next episode. Just
that's it.
Oh my god. Yeah. No.
I have to do our. No. That's before I could do that. I have to start a reverb store where I get rid of half of it.
Exactly.
Which is no joke. I know that's coming in the near time. That's why I figured I'm moving Kim's transferring to mailroom here because it's like, hey, you're not working during the day. You can go to the post office.
I can.
Let's start that. So, all right. So we covered the album. Covered that. We covered buying gear. We do have where the health throw you under the bus question we meant to warn you about, but
we didn't warn you.
This is like our we figure every podcast has their gimmick question thing.
All right, so here's the question. And we'll give you a couple of seconds to kind of come up with your list. Give us 3 to 5 kind of local level bands that you feel people should know about. Someone could be you've played with, could it be someone in your local area? Just, because it's just a good way to kind of get some more airtime for these people.
3 to 5 minor league bands that you think people should listen to.
Other than me and you, other than us.
Right.
Okay. My favorite act here in Winnipeg is a guy named Vince Andrushko. He's got 2 records out, one from like 2008 and one from 2015. And he's great. He's got a real like mosey to his sound and his approach. And it's like very cool and chill, calm. And he's one of my favorites. Vince Andrushko. I will say Gus Clark. Does Gus Clark qualify?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I love Gus. I love his shit. And I think he's from Spokane originally, but he's down there in Texas somewhere.
Is he in San Antonio now, I want to say?
I think so.
Is he? Okay. He's down there, yeah. Third up is a kid that's living in Utah. I think he's from Nevada originally. He just opened up for Corb for our whole tour in November. His name is Branson Anderson.
Okay.
And he's like this like buttoned up Mormon kid. But when he's on stage, it's like something comes out of him. It's like, oh, he's the devil on stage and really well versed in like sort of Lead Belly style, like dirty blues, American folk music. He knows all that stuff. He's really good. I would not be surprised if he comes back out with us again. Corb loves him. We all love him. He's great. He's fixed our van twice. He's like a mechanic. He's this industrious young fella.
Nice.
And so yeah, he fixed our van twice, and he was in the good books even more so. Lauren Morrow, she lives in Nashville. She's from Atlanta. She and her husband Jason, they opened up for us a bunch in 2022, and she put out a record last year. Last year was like pretty banging, sort of not as like country or whatever as her other stuff was, but it's a big, great sounding record. She's a wonderful singer. What am I at there? That's 4?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm usually real good at this. Who did I see? Well, I got a good friend in Lethbridge, Alberta. His name is Ryan Dick. His stage name is Skinny Dick. Good Mennonite guy. His last record he went down to Texas and made with Billy Horton, and he's a great writer, just a great writer, and he's a real good pedal steel picker. He played on my Truckin' record. He played on my Bakersfield record.
Okay.
And then he kind of like stopped being a side guy and just does his own thing, at his own pace. And he's got a real sort of vulnerable sounding voice and just really great lyricist. And a great steel player too. So there you go. That's 5. Skinny Dick, Laurel, Branson Anderson, Gus Clark, and Vince Andrushko.
Perfect, man.
Nice.
Solid.
I would have been, when I was doing the radio, it was like that was my bread and butter. It was like those kind of folks, right? I was like, I could have ripped them all off. David Quinn, who's from Chicago, lives in Indiana. I'm a big fan of David Quinn. He's cool. He's prolific, and he puts out good sort of country rock, sort of dirty southern rock country kind of stuff. He's real good too.
Nice.
I love it.
Awesome, man. Was there anything else you'd like to add in? Anything you want people to know about?
I don't know. The record Lost Country came out in October. You can stream it and steal it and support wherever you do that kind of thing. Just be performing this winter up here in Canada, in and around Winnipeg, and then beginning in March 2024, we head out with Corb for some substantial touring behind his new record that comes out in February. And I know we're starting the U.S. leg in Texas because our van and trailer are in Austin right now.
Oh wow!
So we'll be starting in somewhere in Texas in April. So I would imagine that we'll be out. I'm sure out near where you guys are at. I'll let you know. It'd be great to meet
Nice.
you.
Yeah, sure. We'd love that.
We'll get you into the show wherever it's at, and
Sweet.
so we'll be doing Texas and then the West, and that's our first American run, and then we'll be back down there again in the fall.
Okay.
But yeah. So that's what's up. I'll just be on the bass with Corb, and his record comes out in February, and his record's great, man. We made it in his living room with no headphones, no amplifiers, no adult supervision. I was just two really nice mics in front of my upright. It was like 5 feet from Corb. Drummer was beside me. Everyone was just like, they're playing in the living room. And we made this pretty cool record. It doesn't sound like an acoustic record, though. It's pretty bitchin'.
Oh wow!
And Steve Christensen in Houston mixed it.
I know Steve.
Steve is like next
man?
level. Like
The man, dude.
Dude, like I got him to mix a couple of singles for me, and I was just like, I just was so not cool. I was like, I just think you're the greatest, Mr. Christensen. I think Krongbin is the greatest band in the world, and you guys are the next level artists. And he was like, yeah, whatever, man. It's this much. I was like, okay. He's incredible.
He's like a name, dude. He start paying us, man.
I know we need to get him on the show. Actually,
He comes on like we've had probably like 7-8 bands now, like Steve Christensen.
He's the best. And it's like, and when he's in mix mode, it's like you text that guy every day for weeks and you're not going to hear from him until he's done.
Nope.
And it's like, I'll give you a couple edits. And for at least for me, I didn't require any. He mixed a record by this girl from Winnipeg here named Andrina Turin. And there was one track with like 18 vocals. There was like 40 tracks or whatever of percussion and guitars and vocals. And they had no notes for him. He just knows. Everything's got space. Nothing's on top of each other. And he mixed that record for us with Corb, and it's great.
Yeah, dude. And I've known him so long. I remember when he was he was just past his internship at Sugar Hill back in the day. And man, he was like just talented then. And you're just like, this guy's going to be amazing. And just to see his trajectory, and he's just such a nice guy. Like he's down, and you're like, this guy works with A-list everyone. And you can talk to him like he's your best bud. It's the weirdest thing. Yeah,
and his mastering guy Chris is down there too. I think that they work together a lot. And they got a great thing. Everything they churn out. We just do you know Juliet McConkie? She lived down there for a while, singer songwriter. She had this record. I just found it from looking around for new music. It sounded just so beautiful, and I sent it to my friend, and he's like, "That's Steve Christensen." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "That's," and he looked it up. He's like, "Yeah, it was Steve Christensen mixed that thing. He's just got this. It's just beautiful. It's rich.
Yeah, and it's funny because he does all these amazing, the Crank Band and Leon Bridges stuff is amazing. And then you look up his credits, and it's like Destiny's Child, Beyonce, Solange. You're like, what? Yeah, it's the coolest thing, man.
Yeah, apparently he's got a lot of stories from some like hardcore hip hop stuff from his early days.
Yeah, one of the stories is he was working with Cash Money Millionaires, and so it was a weird thing. There's a bunch of dudes in the studio, and you have like Mystical and all these rappers and stuff, and he's like this one little white dude, and they wouldn't talk to him for like the first week. And then once he started doing the mixes and stuff, and they realized how talented he was, they started like talking to him, like, okay, we can talk to him now.
Yeah, it's cool.
But he said he's never walked in the studio and seen so many just like stacks of money, just like, and they paid everything in cash. And he was like, it was no bullshit. Like, and he said it was the craziest thing. But once they warmed up to him, dude, it was like they gave him nicknames and stuff. Like he was like he's going to the family reunion, kind of hanging out and stuff. It's great, dude.
That's cool. That's super cool. Yeah.
Right on, man. Well, on that note, it's been almost an hour. I'm sure you got things with your life you could do other than talk to us.
I had a great time. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, thanks for doing this, man. This was, like I said,
nice is chatting.
For being the first time we've ever spoken to each other. It went smooth, man. Like
beauty. Yeah.
So, man, I appreciate your time, man, hanging out with us.
Yeah, thank you very much. And like I said, I'll as soon as we get our schedule, I'll fire off a note and let you know where in the greater Houston area we are. I hope we're in Tomball. Played in Beaumont too last time at a real great spot. Well, I'll know it if someone told me the name of it, but it was great, and the food was unreal too.
Where's that?
I know, like
Texas
good
Rose
spot.
Saloon?
It's like on the highway, kind of off the highway, in this weird like barn shed looking place, and Long stage, long room, seated.
No clue.
Ah, shit. I wish I remembered it.
Oh, was it Corville's?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, man. Yeah, Rich and them do it up, man, because that's a catering company. He does those shows, and it's like,
yeah, they fed us after sound check, and we were all just like, oh my God, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, because your tickets come with food, so it's just like, it's the best. Yeah, we saw
that was a good example of like the listening room, but also people stretching out and having a good time. Yeah. So yeah, we did Corville's and then Main Street. So I hope we get back, because it's been over a year now.
I'm sure they'd love to have you.
Yeah.
All right, man. Talk to you next time.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Have a good night.
You too, bud.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, y'all. That was episode 32 of the podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you check out Sean Burns online. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. Go check out his Bandcamp. Even with international shipping, the new record's only like around $30. So it's not that much. Go pick up a copy of Lost Country. While you're there, pick up some other ones. Combine shipping. It won't be a bad deal. Once again, if you like the podcast, please tell a friend. Share it on your social media. Tell folks about it. It helps us get more exposure for these bands who are just great. These artists. We're really, really happy with how it went so far in our first year. We hope we carry it through into the second year. Again, if you would like to be a guest of the podcast, hit us up. DM us on Instagram or Facebook, or even through the Brightwire page, you can do it. Find one of our social media accounts. Hit us up. We'd love to talk to you. And enough about that. Let's move it on. Here's the last song to lead us out. Once again, from Sean's new album called Lost Country. This one's called Souvenir. See you next time. Bye-bye.
If I could stop loving you, there's no telling what I could do, and no telling where I could go. If I could let go, I'd stay out and dance till dawn, drink too much and carry on, and smile so the pain doesn't show, that I can't let go. It was never my intention. Who knew how far I could fall? When someday you walk away from the one who made me crawl, I laugh like you're off my mind. Become one of two of a kind, and smile so the world doesn't know that I can't let go. I could fall. But when someday you walk away from the one who made me crawl, I laugh like you're off my mind. Become one of two of a kind, and smile so the world doesn't know that I can't let go. So the world doesn't know I can't live